Welcome back to this week's edition of the President's Message. I have a very special guest today, who's a good friend of mine, Nick Carparelli. I met Nick as the Associate Commissioner of the Big East, handled all football for Mike Tranghese, and we got to know each other, and our families got to know each other, and it's been a great relationship. I have to tell you, this man has got a pretty good background. He was with the New England Patriots, Notre Dame, Big East, head of college sports for Under Armour, which he gave me some of that Under Armour stuff, so I appreciated that. And those of you that don't know, we've had a Football Bowl Association, which is our organization that all the bowl directors are members of. And we use that to lobby the NCAA. We use that to lobby the conference commissioners on behalf of the bowl games. You know, we have this little thing called a playoff out there that sometimes we have to make sure that the bowls stay center in the attention of the conference commissioners and the NCAA. We really got serious about 7 or 8 years ago. We hired an executive director to run that Football Bowl Association. It's hard when you've got 25 or 30 really active bowl directors going to the conference commissioners, talking to the NCAA. It's better to have a point person to do that. And we hired Nick. We got blessed to hire Nick last year. Kudos to the executive committee for hiring the right person. I can't tell you what a better person you could have lobbying on your behalf, because I don't know of anybody I've ever met that didn't like Nick. And so that's a tribute to you, Nick. And I know that you've been hard at work, and we are a little bit late on this announcement or this message today, because Nick has been very busy putting together a new model for the postseason of college football, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But it's my pleasure to introduce to you Nick, and a good friend. And Nick, welcome to the President's Cast.
Rick, thanks for having me. As you stated, we've known each other a long time, and we've always had such a great relationship. The Big East back in the day just had a great relationship, great respect for the Gator Bowl and all of your people who are involved. I'm really, really blessed to be in this position. I left the Big East and went to Under Armour for a few years, and I really learned a lot in that job in terms of marketing and branding. But I really missed working in college athletics, in the world of college football, especially the bowl business. People ask me what I like the most about it, and I say it's the people, it's the bowl directors, and all the volunteers and all the great people I've met. You meet a lot of interesting people when you're out there working in the business world, but I say that you cannot be a jerk and work in the bowl business. You have to be a good guy or a good woman, and it's just a pleasure to be around you, Rick, and all of your people over the years.
Well, I appreciate that. We both had an opportunity to work in and around the NFL, and boy, I'll tell you what, college football is so much more fun.
Oh, for sure.
So many more good people. It's not cutthroat. You work for a pretty good organization. I work for an expansion team, but I just really think that all the people that I've met over my 29 years now of being involved in college sports, this is pretty special. All these people that I'll as I retire next year, I'll walk away and remember the great relationships we had. And I wore my Newport Country Club shirt today for you. That's where the Big East used to meet, is in Newport, Rhode Island. And Newport Country Club is a special golf club. It's had a lot of major championships played there. So thank you for taking us out there and getting us on that beautiful golf course. And again, it is people. It is the reason to be involved in college athletics, is the people that are there. So you guys at the FBA have a pretty big announcement that you did earlier today. And if you could take a few minutes and explain that announcement to us, it'd be wonderful.
Yeah, so we today was an exciting day. It was a culmination of about eight months of work, from the time we had this vision to getting all the right people on board and executing it. So the FBA is now the bowl season. For years, as you described, Rick, the FBA has been around and really been the advocating, unifying body for the bowl system. There's 42 bowl games now, and they all do a great job of building their own brands in their own communities. But it's truly a national enterprise. Bowl games span from coast to coast. They invite teams from 10 FBS conferences from all over the country. And while the FBA has always done a great job as an internal organization, pulling all the bowl games together. We have an annual meeting. We have business breakout sessions, professional development. Um, all of you guys do a lot of things that are very similar from one bowl to the next, so it makes sense to kind of share your ideas and even share resources whenever possible. But it was always an internal brand. The bowl season now is going to be an external, public-facing, fan-friendly brand. When you think of March Madness, and what it does for the sports fan and what it means to the sports fan in March. If you think of all the professional playoffs, right? October baseball. I'm a baseball fan, and even though it's a little different this year, it's exciting, it's compelling. Well, in my opinion, and I think the opinion of most sports fans, bowl season in late December, early January is just as magical. You turn on the TV on Wednesday between Christmas and New Year's, there's going to be a bowl game on. You don't even know which one, but you're just excited to see it, see who's playing in it, what their story is, how they got there. So we're just, I like to say we're creating a brand new 100-year-old brand. Very unique opportunity. And so the logo we came up with, I think you're going to see a lot of promotion throughout the year. You're going to see that logo everywhere, on the field, in programs, on websites, social media. And really the primary purpose of it is so that we can use that platform to tell all the great stories of the bowl games. I think as much as fans love it, a lot of them just turn it on in December and watch and don't realize all the great things that the bowl organizations do all year long. The community outreach, the charitable component, what they mean for the community. So we're going to tell those stories all year long in a unique way, in a way that, quite frankly, we just weren't able to in the past. So it's exciting.
That's great. I look back over, we had our 75th game last year, and I look back over my 29 years and all the players that have had an opportunity to come to Jacksonville and have our fans come in and see them, Heisman Trophy winners, All-Americans. It's just incredible. My whole life was spent coming down here to the Gator Bowl Stadium and watching the game. And of course, we have another college football game, a little cocktail party that we throw in October. This year, I guess it'll be in November. But it's just amazing how we've had an opportunity to expose all these great teams and these great players to the people of Jacksonville. And so there is an element of exposure of quality of life and get to see those stars that you see on television here. But I think you touched on the right thing. I don't think people really fully understand how much charitable impact we have on our communities. That's probably, to me, the thing that makes us most proud. I know Katie on my staff and Kayla, we both get very excited when we're touching the charities that we help fund, and that we do great opportunities to let the young people of our community get out and see baseball games and football games and take them to road trips down to Gainesville and over to Tallahassee. So I think that's the piece that's the most misunderstood, but the piece that's probably the biggest thing to us here locally, versus just trying to make money off of a bowl game. Because trust me, there is no money to make in the bowl business. It pretty much, the team payout eats that up. But having an opportunity to bring those kids in here at the end of the season, we're not trying to pick national champions. We have a CFP that does that. What we're trying to do is bring kids in here, congratulate them on a great season, give them a week's worth of activity, and then have the charitable function. So we feel really good about what we do and have for a long, long time. And now I'm glad that we have somebody that can represent that and go out and speak on our behalf to tell the story, because so many people don't understand what bowl games do and what they're about. They really focus on the college football playoff, which is important, and I'm glad we have that. Very supportive of the CFP. But I think people need to understand why we continue to have bowl games on top of that. I probably see a little expansion coming up in the CFP and at the end of this 6-year cycle, but there's still going to be a need and a very positive part of local bowl games and what they do for the community. So I don't know that there's anybody else that could do it any better than you, and I know that you've utilized a lot of the executive directors and their staffs to put together the announcement that happened today about the new brand, and just really impressed with what in a very short period of time you've been able to accomplish, at the same time guiding us through this COVID mess. The schools initially weren't sure whether they were going to have bowl games, and you've been a focal point in getting information for us to understand what can go on and how we can play this year. And that's very important. We don't want to have a break. We've never had a break at here. We've played through World Wars and 9/11 and all those kinds of things. So we're really excited. Tell me about the brand. Tell me a little bit about what we're going to try to promote as the brand of the new bowl system.
Yeah. So we, we're kind of, we're going to be called Bowl Season. We created our new logo, our visual identity program, and we're really going to kind of hang our hat on the tagline, a celebration of college football, because we really think that's what it is. Our postseason system is very unique. It's not a bracketed survive and advanced system. College football just doesn't lend itself to that. There's 130 FBS institutions that aspire to go to bowl games every year. And you mentioned the playoff. It's a 14 playoff. It might go to 8. I don't think that really matters to the bowl system. I mean, that is such a small number compared to the 130 that play. And let's face it, between us on this call here, most of those 130 really cannot have no business thinking they're going to get in a 4 or 18 playoff anytime soon. But they have to have something to play for, something that's meaningful. Nothing drives me more crazy. One of my missions is to stop people from using the word meaningless when it comes to bowl game, because they're all extremely meaningful. And in the past year, Rick, I've actually used your game last year as an example of that. You had a Tennessee team that started off the season very, very poorly, right? And if all there was in college football was a 4 or 18 playoff, I don't know those kids would have played very hard anymore. I don't know what those coaches could have done to get them back on track. But that 6-win mark, that bowl game carrot at the end, was dangling there for them. And don't you know, they won their last, I think it was their last 4. They had an upset in there. They come to your game. The Tennessee fans were excited. I mean, I watched your game. I mean, they were there. They cared. It was meaningful to them. And they won the game. They got their 7th win. And there's no doubt, they got upset last week, but they started this season off strong, and I think they're going to have a great year. And your game was a launching point for them.
There's no doubt.
So it was so meaningful, and there are stories like that, across the country in all 42 games. There's a bowl game for everybody. There's something you can aspire to, and that's really, really important for these student athletes.
Well, I agree, and I think if anybody really wants to know how important it is to these fans of these teams, you can see it on the face of not only the Tennessee team, but the Indiana team. That was the first time they'd ever been in a Florida Bowl game. And it came down to the very end. So the after parties were still going well into the night. And, you talk about 60,000 people that get an opportunity to see their teams play another game and have the excitement and enthusiasm that those fans did. That makes it all worthwhile. And so you're absolutely right about that.
We want to tell those stories more. It's not just about who wins the national championship every year. I mean, that's a very, very small number out of the entire pie of college football.
In the side stories, the Indiana quarterback that was named after Peyton Manning. We had all the celebrities come back from all of our games, and Mr. Manning came back, and it was the first time they'd gotten to meet. And for me personally, I went and got him out of the locker room. The coach said, sure, and took him out on the field and introduced him to Mr. Manning. And you know what a great guy he is. And so to see that storyline, that was pretty cool too. And there's a lot of those stories, and I know we'll be telling those stories over the years. And the best way to find out about those stories is to go to where?
Is to go to www.bowlseason.com, and our social media handles are @bowlseason. So you can check us out on Instagram. We're gonna, once we get rolling here, we're gonna be, generating new content, telling new stories, old stories really, in a new way. And we hope to keep it interesting and exciting. We'll have different social media campaigns where we focus on, great finishes, or why are bowl games meaningful to you, talking to different former players, celebrities, the average Joe, people who have attended bowl games, played in bowl games, worked for bowl games, and telling their stories about how those experiences have impacted their lives. So please stay tuned for that, because we're going to have some interesting stories to tell. We think you'll enjoy them.
That's awesome. And I remember Lamar Jackson playing in our game a couple of years ago, and a lot of the players, some of the players, not a lot, some of the players have been opting out of bowl games. He knew he was a number 1 draft choice. And I asked him early in the week, I said, why did you want to come? And he says, because it's the last opportunity I'm going to have to be with my teammates. And boy, I got chill bumps when he said that. And you could just tell they were all having a really good time. And I think it's great that we'll be able to display that to the people that want to come back and take a look at the history of all the great games and all the great things that the bowl business has done. I remember when I was a kid, my parents would set up 3 TVs. We'd have ABC, CBS, and NBC, and we'd watch all the games. Of course, we'd start with a parade, but we'd watch all the games, and how cool that was as family memories to see that. So thank you so much for taking your time today and being with us. I look forward to seeing you at one of the meetings, or certainly on the call that we have a lot now of worrying about all this stuff that's going to go on. And Nick, I'm just so happy that you're working with us. And I wish you the best. And I see all those helmets back there, so you got it covered. I mean, you got a lot of orange back there. Is that Syracuse for some reason?
That was my start in this sport, Rick. I worked for Coach Pasqualoni up in Syracuse, and I know he had a great experience in your game, beating Clemson 41-0. So times have changed.
We had the real orange gold that year. Nick, thank you so much. And by the way, everybody, Nick will be joining us at the next month's Greencoat, I guess you call it Zoom now, Greencoat Zoom, and he will be with Mr. Hancock from the CFP, and we'll do sort of a roundtable and have some questions and answers for them. Thanks a lot, buddy. I'm going to get back here on this board and tell people what I think is going to happen next week. By the way, we have a pick'em contest. They pick against me. Last week, I think everybody that picked beat me. So that tells you how little I know about how good the teams are.
Hey, it's a crazy year. It's hard to predict anything.
It really is. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Rick. Always great spending time.
Stay safe.
Yep.
Take care.
Isn't that a great conversation with the FBA director, Nick Carparelli? I'm really looking forward to November when we get Bill Hancock from the CFP and Nick, and have a little roundtable discussion about the future of college athletics postseason, and also the CFP and the role of the bowls going forward. So hope you enjoyed that. Look forward to the November Greencoat discussion. And now we got to talk a little bit about football. So I know that we'll talk a little bit about Pick'em later on, and that will go out. I did a wonderful job of going 4-6. The great news is I beat Jesse Palmer, so I feel pretty good about that. He's an old quarterback anyway. What does he know? Obviously, I don't know a lot either. But if you look at the games this weekend, we finally get the Big Ten back playing, and I'm so excited about that. We're going to get to see some of the great Midwest, North Central teams in Ohio State, and Penn State, and obviously all the way out to Nebraska. We need that. We needed to have those teams playing at the same time. Not to say that the SEC, what they've been doing every week, playing good teams, has happened. The COVID thing down at the University of Florida is something to keep your eye on. The good news is it's probably gone through the whole team now, so they're probably ready to play after this weekend. And sometimes that's not a bad thing to go ahead and get it out of the way. Very surprised at the Georgia game, what happened there. I thought it was going the way I expected it to go. Georgia and Alabama having a duke out. The second half went completely the other way. How about those Seminoles? You know what? That was a good win for Florida State. And by the way, they're now 2-2. There's a really good chance that Florida State could play their way into our bowl game, and wouldn't that be great? My dream matchup, I'll just go ahead and tell you, in October, because we didn't get an opportunity, or we won't get an opportunity in November to see it happen. What about Florida State here in the Gator Bowl? Wouldn't that be great? The TaxSlayer people would be really, really happy about that. I have to tell you about the TaxSlayer people. They have been a great partner, continue to be a great partner, and with all this COVID, it would have been very easy for them to have come back and said, look, we're going to take a year off, or we want to renegotiate our deal, and they hadn't. They're great friends, and we really care about the TaxSlayer people. So if you need your taxes done, make sure you remember to call and go online to the TaxSlayer people. The other games that I'm interested in is South Carolina. So I'm starting to focus now on teams that we could possibly have in our game. So you start looking at a South Carolina, an Ole Miss, Florida, obviously, as the season goes, big game against Georgia here in Jacksonville the first week in November. So a lot of good things happening there. On the ACC side, you see Virginia Tech, you see North Carolina, you see NC State. Those are the types of teams that we would like to have. We are reaching an agreement with both of those conferences on how the money will be taken care of. And unfortunately, there won't be a lot of events for the players, but we are going to do a really good job of helping the players have a good time. Our big annual seafood buffet for the players when they get here. We're not going to be able to take them out on the town. So we'll do a lot of stuff in the hotel for them. So we're excited about that. We're excited about college football. Let's just keep moving forward. We don't want to have too many Floridas out there where the COVID causes them to reschedule games. There's only a few dates that can be rescheduled to, as you know. So we feel good about where we are. We feel good about our conferences, and we're excited about Ohio State and Michigan and all those teams starting to play and give us something else to watch on TV. I look forward to next week to be able to talk a little bit more about the teams we'd like to see play in our bowl game. We'll be close to halfway through the season for most of the teams, so it's going to be good to talk about and get serious about who's playing in the 76th annual TaxSlayer Gator Bowl. Thanks, guys. Take care. Welcome back to Celebrity Picking. I guess you figured out last week that the celebrity didn't do a very good job of picking the games. I was 4-6. I will tell you that I saw that Jesse Palmer picked worse than I did, so a lot of upsets last week. It was so embarrassing to me that I decided to come back and do it again. I think everybody that sent in their picks beat me except for 2 people, so you 2 people are worse than me, and that's a shame. Anyway, I'm only kidding. I don't even know what the numbers were. I don't look at that. I let Katie and Kayla tell me that stuff. So anyway, we got a whole bunch of games here to pick, and I am going to try to redeem myself. So needless to say, what happens the 3rd week in October every year? Alabama beats Tennessee, and I don't see any way that that's not going to happen. South Carolina at LSU. Boy, I really don't know. South Carolina won a big game against Auburn this past week. I'd like to see South Carolina play in our bowl game. I'd like to see Florida play in our bowl game. I don't think there's much chance LSU would play in our bowl game, so I'm going to go ahead and pick South Carolina in that game. Missouri at Florida has been postponed, so that means that Florida doesn't lose another game this week, and we'll see how that works out as we go forward. Auburn and Ole Miss, a really interesting game. I don't know that Auburn can score enough points to hang with Ole Miss, so I'm going to take Ole Miss. NC State at North Carolina. Guys, this is an important game to us. One of the things that we've done away with, obviously, was the teams and when they played in our bowl game last and who's played in our, all of that goes away, so we can have repeat teams and those kinds of things. So the North Carolina State, North Carolina game will be very important. I'd love to see Mac Brown come down here. He was the coach of my first full bowl game. And so to have him as my last full bowl game would be kind of cool. So I'm going to take North Carolina. Notre Dame at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a decent team. They can give Notre Dame a run for the money, but you got to take the Irish in this game. Virginia at Miami. I think the Hurricanes are a good football team, and I think they got enough in their new quarterback to handle Pittsburgh. Oklahoma at TCU. Guys, let's have a round of applause. We're actually going to get to pick something besides an SEC team. How do you know which team in the Big 12 is any good based on the first couple of weeks? I'm going to pick an upset. I'm going to go with TCU. Iowa State at Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State potentially could be the best team in the Big 12, so I'm going with Oklahoma State. And then we get to pick a Big 10 game. Isn't that great? Michigan, Nebraska, Ohio State, Penn State, all those great teams getting an opportunity to play now. That's going to be exciting to watch. The first game, Michigan at Minnesota. Guys, don't count out Minnesota. I'm going to pick the upset. I'm going with Minnesota. So that's my pick. Let's see if I do a little bit better than I did last week. And come on, everybody get busy here. Let's start picking against me. Take care.